Hi, welcome to Jeremy's Tech Channel, and today we're going to check out Gimp. If you've been watching my channel any amount of time, you know that I have been learning Linux, learning open source software, learning different programs and applications, and today I want to show you Gimp. Now, this is something that many of you are familiar with. If you're watching this channel, there's a good chance that you've been introduced to Gimp. But there are many people who feel like Photoshop is the only option to have something that you can do a lot of professional work with. Now, I'm not going to show you from a professional's perspective on using Gimp because I'm not a professional, but I will show you a quick way to use Gimp and something that is very useful. And this will also walk you through some of the user interface and getting a feel for Gimp because it has a different layout than Photoshop does. It has a different workflow than Photoshop does. And so sometimes people immediately go, well, it's not the same, so obviously it's worse. I'm sure there is some full-featured nature of Photoshop that Gimp may not have, but I will tell you, Gimp is definitely very well featured in what it has to offer. We're going to move over to my desktop here, and we're going to open up Gimp 2.1. And nothing new here as far as if you are used to using Gimp. For me, I've been in Linux for a little over 2 months now, researching Linux for 7 or 8 months in this newest iteration of my Linux journey. I needed to learn how to use some features here so that I can do some thumbnails for this YouTube channel thing. So I figured I'd show you one and let you see it, and maybe it'll give you a sense of what Gimp can do and what Gimp is about. So I'm going to open up a file, one of my photos that I have, screenshots that I've taken. Let's choose this one here. Here is a really poorly taken screenshot. What I'm going to do is I am going to cut myself out of the photo. I'm going to cut my body out. I'm going to have an out-of-body experience, and it's going to show you a couple pieces here. Normally when you come in and you are starting, you have a selection tool or a free select tool. There's also this move tool. There's multiple tools here that you can use, a crop tool, a fill tool. You know, all of these things that if you use these programs, you are not going to be surprised with what I'm going to show you. But I did want to show an open source alternative to something that is very prevalent, Photoshop. So here's Gimp. And so what I'm going to do, you have these menu items up here, very simply laid out, very different than Photoshop, mind you. I need this to have a transparency layer on the back so that when I export this and put it on top of an image, that it has the ability to be cut out instead of the whole box. I have to start by adding a transparency alpha channel. I'm going to add an alpha channel, and it adds transparency information for the layer. See, it gives you the description right there. Cool. Press F1 for more help. Well, let's see what it says. And I click Read Online, and there it comes up. And now I can read that. They have an easy way for you to see what is this menu item. Thanks. I need to ensure that I actually add that transparency alpha channel. Boom. The transparency layer is there. Now I have this free select tool, and this free select tool will allow me to select my silhouette and see what is going on. Now I'm not going to do and zoom in and do like the most amazing cut job here because this is just showing you what you can do. Each one of those bubble points that you see, those circles, is where I am clicking and selecting. So I'm going around here and just cutting around this image. Nothing crazy, right? Nothing ridiculous. Nothing hard. I wanted to highlight one of my favorite programs. I'm doing a horrible job up on the top of the head, and I bet you've seen on some of my thumbnails, I am not a pro at this yet. That is not the program's fault. That is my fault. Not only is this one of my favorite programs that I'm learning to use in Linux, I believe many people, myself included, don't actually need Photoshop. I can probably work within GIMP for most of my needs, and I have been, and it's working great. So now you can see this little moving dotted line around the silhouette here. Now I am going to invert it here, and inverting the selection will allow me, once I delete the layer, it's not going to delete what's inside my selection, it will delete what's outside the selection. That's what the inversion is for. I will clear. Now I can use key binding with delete, or I can just click this here. I'm ready to go. Now I'm ready to be layered on top of anything else. So now what I can do is export this as a PNG. A PNG allows for a transparency layer, which is exactly what I needed to do. I'm going to call this demo1, and I'm going to export this. If you are using something else, let's say I want to open up a new photo. Okay, how about this image here? And now I want to add this layer onto this layer. All right, I am going to open as layers here. And I am going to choose what I just did, that demo1. And there I am in my poorly cut self right on top of this image. I mean, this is the beginnings of a quick and easy thumbnail. If I take this move tool and I want to move my image around here, you can. If you have been using GIMP for a long time, this is like, yawn, yawn. But for some people who are getting introduced to Linux and introduced to open source software, showing someone like myself that I just learned these tools might help bring someone along and give them tools that they need to feel really good about using Linux and feel really good about using GIMP. Now, that was just a really quick way to see how to use GIMP. And there are many extra pieces to GIMP that I didn't even dive into. Maybe this will wet your whistle, but I did want to show these pieces here. I did want you to see that if you're new to GIMP like I am able to go into the menu selection here, see what's going on, and then if it's something that obviously needs more description, I have the press F1 for more help, and then it pulls up and lets me see what that is. I can read, I can be successful. What many of us tend to do is just go, I can't figure this out by a couple clicks, and then walk away from it. You could miss out on a really great program like GIMP where you can save you money. Now, obviously, if you feel like it's really great, you can donate to the program. I'm not saying that they don't need support, but it's different than putting in that monthly payment that you have to do to have all of their suite. And also, it's not available for you right now on Linux. So you move to Linux, you're like, oh, great, I need to edit a photo. I need to make some changes. And you're like, what do I use? And everyone says, use GIMP, it's great. And then you open up GIMP and you're like, I don't understand how this goes. Well, I just wanted you to see where those pieces are. What can you do? And I believe you can do pretty much anything you need in GIMP. I've been able to use it and don't feel like I'm missing anything yet. Once again, I'm not using, even in my day job, Photoshop very often. I do most of my work in Final Cut, which is video work, and I do Logic Pro, which is audio. I have other people that are working on the graphic side of things in our production area. I just wanted you to see this. I wanted to give GIMP some love. I hope you found this useful, and hopefully it will start you down the track to becoming a GIMP pro like I'm trying to be myself. Anyways, see you next time.